In Sicily there is one day in December, today, the 13th of December, where Sicilians do not eat any pasta, they do not eat any bread. Instead they eat rice, fried rice in the shape of arancina. It's not a trend or diet, it's a promise which has been kept for centuries. I will tell you a little bit more as I start cooking, but I'm placing half a kilo of rice. This is basmati rice in a bowl, in a pot, and I'm topping it with 1 liter of cold water. You can use risotto rice or arborio rice. I'll turn the temperature on maximum and I will leave it for 2 minutes and I will not touch the rice until the water warms up. Stock cube, this is beef. If you are vegetarian and you want to make your arancini vegetarian, use a vegetable stock cube. Also, I'm going to add a bay leaf, and that will be followed by a knob of butter. And this is saffron here, but I'm going to use a good pinch, about half of the sachet, which is about 2.5 grams. And this will give the rice nice flavor, but also a beautiful color. Temperature is on maximum and I'll wait until it starts boiling now. There we go. The rice is the very first thing I'm cooking, as it will need to cool down in order to make my arancini. So I'll just place the lid on and I'll turn it on medium-low, just below medium, and I'll leave it to simmer with the lid on for about 10 minutes. The 13th of December is Santa Lucia in Italy, Santa Lucia. And Lucia was a young woman. She lived in the 4th century, and a name Lucia is associated with luce, which means light. And she was very popular because she was well known for caring about the poor and also feeding the hungry. And she was prosecuted by the Romans, unsurprisingly, and eventually murdered. And shortly after that she was made saint, and she was effectively a star in the light of especially the Sicilians, as she was from Syracuse. In Italy, whenever a saint is made, they attach a date to the saint. So for example, my name is Francesco and the 4th of October is San Francesco, whereas the 13th of December is Santa Lucia. So Lucia was adored by the Sicilians, and for centuries the 13th of December was celebrated in her honor. During the 17th century, Sicily was undergoing through some really rough times, and people were starving, and Palermo was badly affected. And they were all praying to Santa Lucia because they were hoping for better crops, more food from the land. On the 13th of December, a ship arrived in the port of Palermo, and it was choked with grain. And that grain was distributed to the population, and they didn't even bother processing it. They were so hungry that they cooked it as it was, and they made something called cuccìa, which is pretty much boiled grain, and that obviously helped. And of course the Sicilian associated that to Santa Lucia, who acknowledged their request and provided some food. In the meantime, if I move to my rice over here, so I can comfortably add a little Parmesan cheese. This will flavorize the rice even more, and it will melt, as obviously the rice is still very, very, very hot. And I'll mix it in, and that will be pretty much ready. The rice will need to be cooler before I can shape my arancini later. So I'm going to move the rice into a baking tray. Get rid of this, and I'll spread it using my wooden spoon so that it cools down quicker. So what has Santa Lucia got to do with arancini and rice bowls? Rice arrived in Sicily centuries earlier, when Sicily was ruled by the Arabs, alongside spices such as saffron and other different ways of cooking. And the benefit of rice, of course, was that it was more affordable, and it could feed many, and you could work it easily with your hands. So after the miracle, if you like, they decided that they would dedicate it to Santa Lucia. So every year in most families in Sicily, on the 13th of December, you will find that they will eat cuccìa, which is the boiled grain, but also that is cooked in different ways. Nowadays also they add chocolate and ricotta. They make it savory as well as sweet, and also arancini. Some people buy them, some people make them at home. I decided to make them at home, of course. And you've seen me adding some olive oil in a pan, and I've made a soffritto which consisted of very finely chopped carrots, onion, and also a stick of celery. And also I've just added a little rosemary and about 500 milliliters of passata, and I'm bringing it to the boil. I'm going to add some salt now, otherwise I'll forget. And very important that you add some peas. Peas is a big signature on the ragu for the arancina, so I'm gonna be a little bit more generous than this, but I will list all of the quantities in the description as always. This is tomato puree, and I'm going to add about a teaspoon, and this will thicken up the sauce a little, but also will add additional flavor. And I want this sauce to be slightly thicker than a normal ragu, as it will go inside the arancini, and I don't want it to be too liquidy, of course. But this is also a very quick ragu. Now that I've added the rest of the ingredients, I'll turn it down onto medium, and I'll leave it to simmer without the lid on, medium, not high, without the lid on for about 15 minutes. And I've made a start already with my arancini. I thought I'll make a couple and then I'll show you what I do, so that I can give you a good explanation. So I'll show you how I put my arancini together. So my hands are wet, as it is easier to work with the rice and it doesn't get stuck to your hands. So I've got my palm covered with some rice. Entirely up to you how much you put in. You can make them smaller or you can make them bigger. Don't make them too big, otherwise they'll become a little bit difficult to handle. So here is my ragu. I get a good spoonful and I'll place it in the middle. And of course this could be cheese and ham or whatever you choose to add. And mozzarella or cheese, any cheese you like, but mozzarella obviously is very traditional for Sicilian arancini. So that is my filling, that is my bottom outer part of the arancini. I'll go and get more of my rice, similar quantity, and I'll place it on top, and using my hands I will now start modeling it together until I make a nice ball. It'd be like if you are making a sand ball, but obviously turn it until you are satisfied that you get the shape you want, and as you turn it just press it slightly so that it compacts in your hands until it retains its shape. So it's nearly done. I think I've done a good enough job, and this is ready for the next stage. So as I said, you can make them smaller, you can get your children to help you, they'll love it, and I'll do the rest and then I'll show you what to do next. And I've made 11, here they are. I've actually just discovered that although the shape is there, I did actually find it a little bit tricky using the basmati rice, as it's not as gluey and starchy as risotto rice like arborio, for example. This step is critical regardless what type of rice you're using. So just get your arancini and make sure that you're very gentle, because they are kind of fragile at the moment. I've beaten an egg and I'll just roll it in my egg so that the entire surface of my arancina is covered. Separate plate, I've got some dry breadcrumbs, nothing else, just breadcrumbs. I'll place my arancina inside and I'll cover with my breadcrumbs. And this is critical because, of course, the egg and the breadcrumbs will seal the arancina, making it considerably harder and more solid. I'll be baking mine. You can also deep fry them, but I think they are considerably healthier in the oven. So I've got some baking paper, and I also put a little olive oil at the bottom, and this is ready to go in the oven. So I'll do the other 10 and I'll be right with you. And here they are. I'm sure you will agree they look beautiful. By the way, I meant to say I've got some ragu left over, just under half, which is perfect. That is the same ragu I would have used if I would have made a pasta sauce. So tomorrow's dinner is sorted. Thank you to Santa Lucia. Now before they go in the oven, I'm going to apply a little olive oil on top of each arancina. There is olive oil at the bottom, so I'm doing the same at the top, so that they become beautiful in color and a little bit of flavor. My oven is on and it is at temperature 200 degrees, fan assisted, up by 20 to 220 if you've got a conventional oven. They will go in, I will not touch them, and then I'll get them out after 20 minutes. See you then. And they've been out of the oven for about 10 minutes so that they've cooled down a little and it's safe for me to touch them. And I told you that they were going to get some strength and they are absolutely beautiful. If you were to deep fry them, they would be even more golden in color, but I prefer them like this because the taste is not that different, but they are considerably healthier like this. And I think all I've got left to do is to test one. I don't know if I mentioned it. I have mentioned it on the channel before, but my mum is called Lucia and she was born on the 13th of December. You can see why she was called Lucia. So let's tuck into this and let's see what it looks like first of all in the middle. And there it is. This is a typical Arancina al Ragu. And let's see what the taste is like. Oh, it's really good. It's crunchy on the outside, sorry, big bite, and soft on the inside, and the ragu is absolutely perfect. Little cheese, what's there not to like? If you've never made them, try with the risotto rice, as I said, and let me know if you do. They're beautiful, and you can also freeze them, by the way. But I would recommend that you freeze them once they're cooked, and then you can actually put them in the oven from frozen 15 to 20 minutes in a normal oven, or put them in the air fryer 10 minutes and they come up just like this. Arrivederci e buon appetito. Thank you for watching and thank you for sticking with me if you enjoyed the story about Santa Lucia and the Arancini. Ciao ciao.